The encounter. In a busy future, Earth was a place where humans and aliens met often. Bright lights shone over the crowded streets of New Atlanta, a city filled with visitors from different worlds. Spaceships flew in the sky, and the air buzzed with excitement. It was a time of discovery and adventure. Alex, a young human diplomat, walked through the city with purpose. He had a kind heart and wanted to help create friendships between species. His job was to make sure aliens felt welcome on Earth. Today, he was invited to a grand gala where important aliens gathered to talk about trade and peace. The event was held in a tall building, shimmering with colors and sounds. As Alex entered the gala, he was amazed by the sight. Aliens of all shapes and colors danced, laughed, and shared stories. There were tall beings with shimmering skin and short creatures with bright eyes. Everyone wore beautiful clothes from their home planets. The atmosphere was alive with joy, but Alex sensed something darker lurking beneath the surface. While mingling with the crowd, Alex overheard two alien men speaking in hushed tones. They talked about a plan to capture two beautiful alien women, Zara and Lyra, who were visiting Earth. The men spoke about terrible things, how these women were to be sold into a life they did not choose. Alex's heart raced. He knew he could not stand by and let this happen. Determined to save them, Alex scanned the room. He spotted Zara and Lyra across the hall. They were striking, with flowing hair that glimmered like stars. Zara had bright green skin, and her eyes sparkled with curiosity. Lyra had deep blue skin, and she moved gracefully, attracting attention from many around her. They looked happy, unaware of the danger approaching them. Alex approached them, trying to appear calm. "Hello, I'm Alex," he said with a smile. "Welcome to Earth. How are you enjoying the gala?" Zara and Lyra smiled back, their faces lighting up with joy. They shared stories about their home planet, a place of peace and beauty. Alex listened, enchanted by their tales of adventure and friendship. But as they spoke, Alex noticed the two men from earlier watching them closely. The men's eyes were cold and calculating, and he felt a shiver run down his spine. He knew time was running out. With a quick glance, Alex gestured to Zara and Lyra. "I think we should move to a safer place. It's crowded here," he said, his voice steady but urgent. Confused but trusting, Zara and Lyra agreed. They followed Alex through the throng of aliens, weaving in and out of groups. Alex's heart raced as he led them toward a side exit. Just as they reached the door, he turned to see the two men pushing through the crowd, their eyes fixed on the women. "Quick, this way," Alex urged, opening the door and leading them outside. The cool night air hit them like a refreshing wave. He could hear the men shouting in the distance. They were coming after them. With adrenaline pumping through his veins, Alex led Zara and Lyra down a narrow alley, hoping to lose their pursuers. The sounds of the gala faded behind them, replaced by the echo of their footsteps and the rush of their breathing. Alex glanced back and saw the men closing in, their faces twisted with anger. "We need to hurry," he said, urging the women to follow him. They ran deeper into the darkness, leaving the party behind. In that moment, Alex knew he had to protect them. They were no longer just strangers. They were friends, and he would do anything to keep them safe. The rescue. The dark alley felt cold and narrow as Alex led Zara and Lyra away from the gala. Their footsteps echoed off the damp walls, and a sense of urgency filled the air. Alex glanced back to see the two men from the gala gaining on them, their angry shouts ringing out in the night. "Don't look back. Just keep running," Alex urged, his heart pounding in his chest. Zara and Lyra sprinted beside him, fear evident on their faces. They had only just arrived on Earth and now found themselves in danger. The three of them turned a corner, and Alex spotted a small door leading into a dimly lit storage area. "In here," he shouted, quickly pulling the door open and ushering them inside. The space was cluttered with boxes and old equipment, a forgotten corner of the city. They hurried in and shut the door quietly, hoping it would keep them hidden. Inside the storage room, they caught their breath. Zara leaned against a stack of boxes, her green skin glimmering under the faint light. Lyra stood close to her, gripping her arm. "What do we do now?" Lyra asked, her voice trembling slightly. "We wait and hope they don't find us," Alex replied, glancing through a small window that looked out onto the alley. He could see shadows moving outside. "They're searching for us. We need a plan to get away safely." As they waited, Alex's mind raced. He knew he had to think fast. The longer they stayed, the more likely the men would discover their hiding spot. "Zara, Lyra, do you have any special abilities? Anything that might help us?" he asked, trying to keep his tone calm. Zara nodded, her eyes brightening. "I can create illusions. I can make us look like something else. If we can confuse them, we might escape." Lyra looked hopeful as well. "And I can move quickly. I can help us dodge any attackers." "Perfect," Alex said, feeling the surge of hope. "Let's work together. Zara, create an illusion of us leaving through the front door. Lyra, get ready to run when I give the signal." Zara took a deep breath, focusing her energy. She closed her eyes, and slowly, a shimmering light began to fill the room. Alex watched in awe as images of the three of them appeared near the front door, walking casually as if they were leaving the building. "Now," Alex whispered, his heart racing. He opened the door slightly, peering outside. The shadows of the two men were closer now, and their voices grew louder. "Go, go, go," he urged, stepping out and keeping his eyes on the illusion. Zara and Lyra darted behind him, moving swiftly through the narrow space. The illusion shimmered, drawing the attention of the men outside. "Did you see them?" one of the men shouted, pointing towards the false images. "They went that way," the other man yelled, running after the illusion, leaving Alex, Zara, and Lyra a moment of precious time. "Quickly," Alex called, leading them out of the storage room and back into the safety of the alley. The night air felt fresh against their skin as they moved away from the building, adrenaline pumping through their veins. They dashed around the corner and continued running until they reached a quieter street. Alex stopped to catch his breath, his heart still racing. "We did it," he said, a smile breaking across his face. "You both were amazing." Zara and Lyra exchanged relieved smiles, the tension slowly fading. They were safe for now, but Alex knew this was just the beginning. They needed to find a way to get out of the city and away from the danger that still lurked in the shadows. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. Cultural exchange. After escaping the alley, Alex, Zara, and Lyra found themselves in a quieter part of New Atlanta. The bright lights of the busy city faded behind them, replaced by the soft glow of street lamps and the sound of distant music. They walked slowly, still catching their breath, but feeling safe for the moment. "Where can we go now?" Lyra asked, glancing around with wide eyes. She was amazed by everything she saw. Earth was so different from her home planet, where the skies were always blue and the trees were tall and green. "There's a small cafe not far from here," Alex replied, looking down the street. "We can talk and plan our next move. It's a good place to rest and feel safe." Zara and Lyra nodded, relieved to have a moment to gather their thoughts. As they entered the cafe, the rich aroma of coffee and baked goods filled the air. The place was cozy, with warm lighting and soft music playing in the background. They found a small table by the window and settled in. Alex ordered some drinks, while Zara and Lyra looked around, curious about everything. "I love this place," Zara said, her eyes sparkling. "It feels warm and inviting." Lyra agreed, nodding enthusiastically. "And the colors are so bright. We don't have places like this back home." When Alex returned with their drinks, a strong coffee for himself and 2 colorful fruit juices for the women, he noticed their excitement. "What do you like most about Earth so far?" he asked, taking a sip of his coffee. Zara thought for a moment. The people here are friendly. They smile a lot. It makes me feel happy, she said, her green skin glowing with enthusiasm. And the food looks delicious. I want to try everything. Lyra added, the music is beautiful too. It makes me want to dance. In my culture, we dance to celebrate everything. She smiled, remembering joyful moments back on her planet. What do you celebrate? Alex asked, leaning forward with interest. He wanted to learn more about their culture, and it made him happy to see them relax. We celebrate the seasons, Lyra explained. Each season brings something special. When spring comes, we plant seeds together and sing songs of new beginnings. Summer is for festivals and dancing. Fall is for gathering with family, and winter is a time of rest and reflection. That sounds wonderful, Alex said, picturing the vibrant celebrations in his mind. We have similar things here, but it's often different. Sometimes we get so busy that we forget to celebrate. He felt a pang of sadness for those who missed out on joy in their lives. Zara smiled gently. You should celebrate more. Life is too short not to enjoy it. Her words hit home for Alex. He realized he had been so focused on work and responsibilities that he forgot to take time to enjoy life. What about your home planet? He asked. What is it like? Zara's eyes sparkled as she began to describe her world. Our sky is filled with colors that change every hour. We have tall, glowing trees and rivers of light. The air smells sweet, and the animals are friendly. We live in harmony with nature. Lyra chimed in. And we have festivals that last for days. Everyone comes together to dance, sing, and share food. It feels like one big family. As they shared their stories, Alex felt a deep connection growing between them. They were so different, yet their hearts beat with similar joys and dreams. He realized that despite their backgrounds, they all wanted the same things: safety, love, and happiness. This is what makes us strong, Alex said softly. Our differences can bring us closer together. Zara and Lyra nodded, their smiles brightening the room. In that cafe, over drinks and shared stories, they formed a bond that would last a lifetime. They were no longer just a human and two aliens. They were friends, united in their journey ahead. A new beginning. With the sounds of victory still echoing in the air, Alex, Zara, Lyra, and Mark stood in the aftermath of the showdown. The men who had hunted them were either captured or had fled in fear, leaving the dark hideout behind. The three friends exchanged glances filled with relief and triumph. They had faced danger and emerged stronger, united in their fight for freedom. Did we really just do that? Lyra asked, her eyes wide with disbelief. She still held the man she had caught, who was now seated on the floor, bound and grumbling. We did, Zara replied, a smile spreading across her face. We fought back, and we won. Mark stepped forward, looking at the captured men. We need to call the authorities. They will want to know what happened here, he said, reaching for his phone. These people are dangerous and need to be stopped for good. Alex nodded, feeling a surge of hope. And we can tell them about the group behind all of this. It's time to put an end to their operations. As Mark called the police, Alex turned to Zara and Lyra. I'm so proud of you both. You showed incredible strength today, he said, feeling grateful to have them by his side. Zara blushed, her green skin glowing softly. I couldn't have done it without you and Lyra. We all fought together. Lyra grinned, her blue eyes sparkling with excitement. It feels amazing to stand up for ourselves. We are no longer victims. We are fighters. The police arrived soon after, taking statements and securing the scene. They listened closely as Alex, Zara, and Lyra explained everything. The officers were impressed by their bravery and took action to ensure the men would be held accountable for their actions. Once the police finished their work, Alex, Zara, and Lyra stepped outside into the fresh air. The sun was shining brightly, and the warmth wrapped around them like a comforting blanket. "We did it," Lyra shouted, raising her arms in victory. "This is just the beginning for us." "Yes, it is," Alex agreed, looking at his friends. "We can move forward now. Together, we can build a new life." As they walked away from the hideout, Alex felt a sense of freedom he hadn't experienced in a long time. They had fought back against darkness, and in doing so, they had created a new path for themselves. "Where should we go now?" Zara asked, her eyes scanning the bright blue sky. "I think we should find a new place to live, somewhere where we can feel safe and happy," Alex replied. "Maybe we can find a small house in the country. It would be peaceful there." Lyra nodded enthusiastically. "I love that idea. We can plant a garden and make it our own." Mark joined in, "And I can help. I know some real estate agents who can help us find the perfect place." As they discussed their future, excitement filled the air. They had each other, and they had hope. After everything they had been through, they were ready for a fresh start. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in brilliant colors, they drove away from the city. Alex felt a sense of purpose and belonging wash over him. Together, they would create a home, not just for themselves, but for anyone who needed safety and love. They had overcome the darkness, and now they would embrace the light. This was the dawn of a new beginning, and together, they were ready to face whatever adventures awaited them. The showdown. Inside the dimly lit hideout, tension crackled in the air as Alex, Zara, and Lyra faced the men who had hunted them. The surprised looks on their faces quickly turned to anger as they realized the tables had turned. "You think you can just walk in here?" one of the men snarled, stepping forward. Alex felt his heart race. "We're not going to let you hurt anyone else," he shouted, his voice steady. Zara and Lyra stood beside him, ready for whatever came next. "Let's take them down," the lead man shouted, raising his hand to signal the others. The other men lunged forward, but Zara was ready. She focused her energy and conjured a dazzling illusion. Suddenly, it looked like multiple versions of Zara and Lyra appeared in the room, all of them moving in different directions. "What the?" One of the men staggered back, confusion washing over his face as he tried to figure out which was real. "Now," Alex yelled, moving forward. Lyra zipped past the men, using her speed to dodge their grasp. She was like a blur, slipping in and out of their reach, disorienting them further. Zara created an illusion of them escaping through a side door, drawing the men's attention. "This way," one of the men shouted, running after the false image. But Alex and Lyra charged straight into the fray. "We can't let them regroup," Alex said, throwing a punch at one of the men who tried to block their path. Lyra followed suit, her quick movements landing blows and keeping the men off balance. Despite the confusion, the remaining men regained their composure and formed a line. "Stop them," one of them yelled. The men advanced, but Zara's illusions kept throwing them off. Each time they thought they had the real Zara or Lyra, it turned out to be just an illusion. "Keep pushing," Alex shouted, feeling a surge of determination. They needed to end this fight before the men could call for reinforcements. He and Lyra worked together, dodging attacks and striking back when they could. They had trained for this moment, and now they fought with everything they had. As the chaos unfolded, Zara spotted a heavy metal pipe leaning against the wall. She made a quick decision. "Alex, over there," she called, pointing to the pipe. "Got it." Alex ran to grab it, swinging it like a weapon. The men hesitated, giving him an opening. He swung it at the nearest man, who stumbled back, caught off guard. Meanwhile, Lyra was darting around, her agility making her hard to catch. She found an opening and kicked one of the men in the leg, knocking him off balance. "We can't let them win," she shouted, her eyes fierce. Just then, the lead man regained his footing and charged at Alex. "You won't get away with this," he bellowed, But Alex stood his ground. He swung the pipe again, hitting the man hard in the side. With a grunt, the man fell to the ground, and Alex felt a rush of hope. We can do this. Keep going. The remaining men began to retreat, realizing they were outmatched. Let's get out of here, one yelled, scrambling toward the exit. No, Zora shouted, focusing her energy once more. She created a wall of illusions, making it appear as if the exit was blocked. The men hesitated, unsure of which way to go. Now, Lyra, Alex shouted, and Lyra dashed forward, her speed allowing her to grab one of the men before he could escape. You're not going anywhere, she said, holding him firmly. With the fight nearing its end, the remaining men found themselves trapped between Zora's illusions and Alex and Lyra's determination. They had nowhere left to run. In that moment, Alex realized they had won. They stood together, a united front, ready to face whatever came next. The showdown was theirs, and they had proven that they could stand against the darkness that sought to control them. Together, they had fought back. And together, they would continue to fight for their freedom. The threat emerges. As Alex, Zora, and Lyra continued to enjoy their time together in the cafe, the atmosphere felt warm and friendly. They laughed and shared stories, forgetting the danger they had just escaped. But outside, a storm was brewing. Unbeknownst to them, the two men they had evaded earlier were not giving up. They had connections in the city and soon began searching for any signs of Zora and Lyra. Their anger grew as they realized their plan had been thwarted. They must be nearby. One of the men growled, "We can't let them get away." Back in the cafe, Alex felt a sudden chill run down his spine. It was as if the air had shifted. He looked at Zora and Lyra, who were still laughing and enjoying their drinks, but he couldn't shake the feeling that trouble was coming. "Hey, let's go for a walk," Alex suggested, trying to shake off his unease. "There's a park nearby where we can enjoy the fresh air." Zora and Lyra agreed, eager to explore more of Earth. They paid for their drinks and headed outside, unaware of the danger closing in. As they walked, the city bustled around them. People laughed and talked, and the smell of street food filled the air. But Alex kept glancing over his shoulder, his instincts warning him that they were still being watched. After a few minutes, they reached a small park filled with trees and flowers. It was a peaceful place, and for a moment, they felt safe. They found a bench and sat down, watching the sunset paint the sky with colors. "It's beautiful here," Lyra said, her eyes shining with wonder. "Yes, it is," Alex replied, but his mind was still on the men searching for them. Just then, a loud voice broke through the calm. "There they are." Alex's heart sank as he turned to see the two men from the gala. They had found them. The men rushed into the park, their faces twisted with anger. "You thought you could escape us," one of them shouted, taking a step closer. Zora and Lyra exchanged worried glances. Alex quickly stood up, putting himself in front of them. "You need to leave us alone," he said firmly, trying to sound confident. "You don't know who you're dealing with." "Oh, but we do," the other man sneered, his eyes cold. "You're just a human, and these two are nothing but lost aliens. They don't belong here." Anger boiled inside Alex. "They belong here as much as anyone else." He shouted back, "You have no right to threaten them." The men laughed, and one of them pulled out a small device from his pocket. "We'll see about that," he said, pointing the device at them. Suddenly, a bright light shot out, creating a barrier around Alex, Zora, and Lyra. The barrier shimmered like glass, trapping them inside. "What is this?" Zora exclaimed, her voice rising in panic. Lyra's eyes widened in fear as they realized they were stuck. "This is our chance to take you back," one of the men taunted, stepping closer to the barrier. "You think you can hide from us? You're coming with us, whether you like it or not." Alex's mind raced. He had to think of a way out. "Zora, can you create an illusion? We need to distract them," he whispered urgently. Zara nodded, focusing her energy. As the men approached, she created a vision of 3 figures, making it seem like they were escaping in a different direction. "Look, over there," one of the men shouted, pointing toward the illusion. The men turned, confused by the sight, giving Alex, Zara, and Lyra a moment to act. "Now, let's go," Alex shouted, pushing against the barrier with all his might. The light flickered, and for a moment he thought they might escape, but the men quickly realized the trick and turned back. "Don't let them get away," one shouted, rushing back toward them. With time running out, Alex grabbed Zora and Lyra's hands. "We can't let them take us," he yelled, his heart pounding in his chest. They needed a plan, and they needed it fast. The threat was real, and they had to fight back together if they wanted to survive. The Great Escape. Panic surged through Alex as he felt the men closing in on them. The barrier shimmered ominously around them, and he could see the anger in the men's eyes. He knew they had to escape quickly. "Zara, Lyra, get ready," he shouted, gripping their hands tightly. Zara concentrated hard, her brow furrowed with effort. "I'll create another illusion," she said, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "But we have to time it perfectly." "Lyra, can you use your speed to help us?" Alex asked, looking at her with urgency. Lyra nodded, determination shining in her deep blue eyes. "I can move fast. Just tell me when to go." As the men approached, their faces twisted with malice, Alex took a deep breath. "Now, Zara, make the illusion." Zara focused all her energy, and within moments, a new scene appeared. It looked like they were running toward the park's exit, while in reality, they were still trapped inside the barrier. The illusion was strong, and for a moment, the men hesitated, confused by the sudden change. "Let's go," Alex shouted, pulling Zara and Lyra close to him. He felt the surge of adrenaline push him forward. Lyra sprinted ahead, her quickness shining as she darted toward the edge of the barrier. "Follow me," she called, her voice full of hope. Alex and Zara rushed behind her, but the barrier flickered and buzzed as they reached its edge. It was weakening, but they weren't free yet. "Zara, can you hold the illusion a bit longer?" Alex asked, glancing back at the men. They were still focused on the fake images, but he knew they would figure it out soon. "I'll try," Zara said, her face straining with concentration. "Just get ready to run." With one final push, Lyra reached the edge of the barrier. "Now," she shouted, and in that moment, Zara released the illusion, her energy bursting forth like a firework. The barrier flickered violently, and Alex felt a rush of hope. As they reached the barrier, it suddenly collapsed like a fragile bubble. They stumbled forward, falling into the grassy park. "Run," Alex yelled, pushing them to their feet. They sprinted down the path, their hearts racing with fear and excitement. The sounds of the men shouting behind them fueled their speed. "Don't look back," Alex urged, determination filling his voice. They dashed through the park, weaving between trees and benches, desperate to escape. The city's lights blurred around them as they ran, but Alex kept his focus on the path ahead. "We need to get to my car," he shouted, knowing it was parked a few blocks away. "Which way?" Zora panted, glancing over her shoulder. They could hear the men's footsteps growing louder. "Follow me." "This way." Alex pointed, veering left as they neared the park exit. They ran into a narrow street, where Alex had parked his vehicle earlier that day. Just as they reached the car, Alex fumbled with his keys, his hands shaking. "Hurry," Lyra urged, her eyes wide with fear. Behind them, the men emerged from the park, their faces filled with anger and determination. Finally, Alex found the right key and unlocked the car door. "Get in. Quick," he shouted. Zara and Lyra jumped into the back seat, and Alex slid into the driver's seat, slamming the door just in time. The men reached the car, shouting angrily. "Stop them!" one yelled, but Alex was already starting the engine. He pressed the gas pedal, and the car lurched forward, speeding away from the danger. As they raced down the street, adrenaline coursed through their veins. They were safe for now, but Alex knew they had to find a place to hide and regroup. "We did it," he said, glancing back at Zara and Lyra. "We escaped." Zara and Lyra exchanged relieved smiles, their eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you, Alex," Lyra said, her voice full of excitement. "You saved us." "But we all did it together," Alex replied, feeling the bond between them strengthen. They had faced danger and come out stronger. The night was far from over, but they had each other, and together, they could face whatever came next. The new home. After their narrow escape, Alex drove with purpose, weaving through the city streets. The bright lights of New Atlanta faded behind them as they headed toward a quieter area. He knew they needed a safe place to rest and plan their next move. Zara and Lyra were silent in the back seat, both still catching their breath from the thrilling escape. "Where are we going?" Zara finally asked, her voice filled with curiosity and a hint of worry. "Will we be safe?" Alex glanced in the rearview mirror, meeting her sparkling green eyes. "We're going to a friend's house. It's outside the city, in a small town. It's peaceful there, and my friend will help us." He could see relief wash over both women. After a short drive, they arrived at a small house surrounded by tall trees and colorful flowers. It looked like a cozy cottage, a stark contrast to the bustling city. Alex parked the car and turned off the engine. "This is it," he said, stepping out and opening the door for Zara and Lyra. As they walked toward the front door, Alex felt a wave of comfort wash over him. He had come here many times before, and each visit felt like a warm hug. He knocked lightly, and a moment later, his friend Mark opened the door, his face lighting up with surprise. "Alex, good to see you. Who are these lovely ladies?" Mark asked, his friendly demeanor putting everyone at ease. "These are Zara and Lyra," Alex introduced them. "They need our help. They're in danger, and we need a safe place to hide for a while." Mark's expression turned serious. "Of course. Come in, come in." He stepped aside to let them in, and they entered the cozy living room filled with comfortable furniture and the smell of fresh coffee. Once inside, Mark made them all feel at home. He quickly prepared drinks and snacks, while Alex showed Zara and Lyra around. The walls were decorated with pictures of nature and family. "It's beautiful here," Lyra said, admiring the view of the trees outside the window. Mark smiled, happy to see them relaxing. "It's a peaceful place, perfect for taking a break from the chaos of the city." He led them to a cozy seating area, where they all gathered. As they settled down, Alex began to explain their situation. "We escaped from some dangerous people. They were trying to capture Zara and Lyra," he said, his tone serious. "We need to figure out what to do next. They will come looking for us." Mark nodded, concern in his eyes. "We can't stay here too long. But for now, you are safe. I know a few places where you can hide if needed." Zara and Lyra exchanged glances, their faces filled with gratitude. "Thank you for helping us," Zara said softly. "We've never felt this safe since we arrived on Earth." Mark smiled warmly. "Everyone deserves to feel safe. You're welcome here for as long as you need." He turned to Alex. "We can also contact some of my friends who know the city well. They can help keep an eye out for those men." "Good idea," Alex replied, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. They finally had a plan. As night fell, they settled into the home, sharing stories and laughter. Mark told funny tales from his adventures, and Zara and Lyra shared stories of their home planet, filled with glowing trees and beautiful rivers. The air filled with warmth and friendship, the kind that made the world feel safe again. Eventually, tired from the day's events, they headed to bed. Alex took the guest room, while Mark offered Zara and Lyra the couch. As he lay there, he felt grateful. They had found a new home, at least for now, where they could rest and regroup. With newfound hope in his heart, Alex closed his eyes, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They were safe for the moment, and together they could overcome anything. The fight back. The morning sun peeked through the curtains of Mark's cozy house, casting warm light across the room. Alex stretched and woke up, feeling more rested than he had in days. Last night had brought them a sense of safety, but he knew they couldn't stay hidden forever. The threat still loomed over Zara and Lyra, and he needed to act. After breakfast, Alex gathered Zara and Lyra in the living room. Mark joined them, holding a cup of coffee, ready to help. "We need to come up with a plan," Alex said, looking serious. "Hiding won't keep us safe for long. We need to fight back." Zara and Lyra exchanged worried glances. "Fight back?" Zara asked. "How can we do that?" "They are dangerous. We can outsmart them," Alex replied confidently. "If we work together, we can create a plan to catch them off guard. We need to find out what they want and why they are after you." Mark nodded in agreement. "I have some contacts who can help us gather information. We need to know what we're up against." "Thank you," Lyra said, her voice filled with determination. "We can't let them control our lives. We have to fight for our freedom." Alex smiled at her spirit. "That's the spirit. Here's what I think we should do. First, we need to gather information about those men and who they work for. Then we can set a trap to catch them when they come looking for you." "Sounds good," Zara said, her eyes shining with resolve. "I can use my illusions to confuse them. If we can make them think we're somewhere else, we might get the upper hand." "That's brilliant," Mark exclaimed. "We can use that to our advantage. If we know where they are, we can lure them into a place where we can confront them." Alex took a deep breath, feeling the energy in the room shift. "Let's divide our tasks. Mark, you can reach out to your contacts and find out more about these men. Zara and Lyra, you can help me create the illusions and set up our trap." With the plan set, everyone sprang into action. Mark made calls to his contacts, gathering information about the men and their possible motives. Zara and Lyra worked with Alex, brainstorming ways to use Zora's abilities creatively. A few hours later, Mark returned with valuable information. "I found out that these men are part of a larger group involved in human trafficking," he said, his expression serious. "They target vulnerable aliens and humans. They have a hideout not far from here." Alex's heart sank. "We need to stop them. We can't let them hurt anyone else." Mark nodded. "We'll need to move quickly. They will come for you, Zara and Lyra. We can set up the trap tonight." As evening approached, they prepared for the confrontation. They arrived at the hideout, a rundown building on the outskirts of town. The air was thick with tension, but Alex felt a sense of purpose. They were ready to fight back. Zara took a deep breath. "I'll create an illusion of us leaving the area, making it look like we're escaping in a different direction," she explained. "That should draw them out." Lyra's face lit up with excitement. "I'll be ready to move fast, catching them off guard. We can surprise them when they're distracted." With their plans set, they approached the building under the cover of darkness. Alex's heart raced as they waited for the right moment. He could see shadows moving inside the hideout, and he knew they had to act quickly. "Now, Zara," he whispered urgently. Zara focused her energy, and the illusion of them running away flickered to life. The shadows inside the building shifted, eyes drawn to the false image. "Let's go," Alex shouted, and they sprinted toward the entrance. As they burst into the building, the surprised men turned, eyes wide. "What? They're here!" One of them yelled, panic flashing across his face. "Get ready," Alex shouted, charging forward as Lyra dashed around the men, disorienting them. Zara continued to create illusions, making it difficult for the men to know where to look. With teamwork and courage, they fought back against their pursuers. In that moment, they became not just victims, but warriors ready to reclaim their lives and freedom. The fight was on, and together, they were determined to win.